So welcome to Full Body Hips. This is an alternative solution to physiotherapy, focusing mainly on the hip and the lower limb, with an emphasis of self-massage, yoga, stretching, and physical training. So in this course, you'll learn to overcome all things hip pain without the need of surgery. So I'm going to tell you my story, how I overcome my hip pain. So back in 2017, when I was in my mid-20s, I've been through the most excruciating journey in my life, probably the worst years. So this happened when I came out from the army, took on judo, combat sports, MMA, hit the ground 1,000 times, had multiple bike crashes, and eventually my hip just gave up. Went through a lot of treatments like physio, chiros, nothing worked, specialist, and I did multiple scans that said I had everything, labral tears, hip impingements, bursitis, tendinopathy, I had everything, my whole body. And so I was pretty much screwed on their perspective. But look at me now, I'm on this day, I've got nothing on me. I've never had any surgery. I can walk again. Further yet, I was just discharged from the army. I can squat, I can clean and snatch, I can swim, I can run 10K without stopping. But back in 2017, I couldn't even walk, sleep, sit down, anything, I don't know, even drive your car. Had snapping, popping, burning sensations every time I just went through a walk for like a couple minutes. Very bad. But I just got better just in time for the second time, my second round for the army. Found a lot of success in the army, and I was inspired my time in there when I dealt and fixed my fellow diggers, another term in Australia for soldier. So I've finished basic training. I feel like I need to do more in the outside world, and this was a main inspiration. Funny thing was, it was actually when they were coming came to visit me instead of a physiotherapist. So I thought that was an inspiration moment right there, and I thought, this is it. I can do, if I can fix the fittest people in the country and did a better job than the physio, there must be something I must be doing right. So, you know, I had to make the tough call to discharge. I was only there for a short while. For those who are still on the fence about it, someone who had surgery or had a hip impingement or diagnosed hip impingement or just can't get a chronic hip pain related, you know, no success with any treatments you may have gone through, I will tell the same people that there's actually still hope out there. And if you go through my program, by the end of this program, there's light in the tunnel and your hips will never feel better. You know, I lived through the problems myself and work hard to get back into a high level athletic performance. We know that muscles really need that kick. We really need to refire. So I also recognize that people do have certain and unique needs. So I'll be addressing for those who are really stiff and for those who are really flexible. Because the program applies to everyone, but there will be some people out there who only may use certain type of exercises. And you know, there's no shortcuts to this program, no shortcuts to hip impingement. Will be, you know, strategies have worked, physiotherapy just often fails. You know, you might have done everything, you might have done like soft tissue work, like you might have seen a massage therapist or chiropractor, for example, which I've done myself, and they show you some stretches and some, you know, little exercises, but there's a lot involved in this. It's a lot of work. It's almost like a full workout. Even if you had the surgery, talk about it in the studies. I'll be showing later on that studies, the newer ones have come out saying there's no need for it, but yeah, so this will help address even for those who have their surgery or had their surgery before and still have pain. But surgery, well, we'll talk about in the studies, just doesn't always lead to satisfactory outcomes, and the pain relief never materializes. Sometimes there's no improvement, which I come across a few people who had operations in their hips and they've still got clicking, they still every now and then get popping sounds, and the doctor says to them, you've got to limit your work. is just they have not addressed the issue, like head on. And it does require, they think it's biomechanical issues, but unfortunately, you have to look at the studies that, surgical outcomes that have been conducted, just pretty much doctors, unfortunately, they're pretty biased. I'll put people out there, criticizing for me, but that's fine too. But I found that's what I observed over the years, and it just they sort of hide the fact that they hide the evidence behind hip impingement. But there is hope. That's what I made this program for, because I want to inspire others to be their own doctors, their own physios. You don't have to rely on the specialists, so-called specialists anymore. Like I said, I'm not a medical professional. I just believe that over the years of my observation, I found them to be very biased, because their way of thinking taught at those schools, just a one-way street. They always tell you that the only way to improve mobility is through surgery, and I met others that it does not. I met people who have been through surgery and just doesn't even address the problem. And I will be dressing the muscles even if surgery fails to deliver a satisfactory result. I believe this program, you may have seen similar programs out there and probably addressed in some ways, but I believe this program works for everyone, because some of the stuff I'll be showing you in the exercise library of videos, as well as some of the stuff I learned in the army also. So you'll be acquiring a bit of knowledge. I wouldn't say forbidden knowledge, but you'll be getting some really cool stuff. You've probably seen like a lot of stuff, videos addressing some tendinopathy, but this will help contribute. There's a lot of videos out there, a lot of programs out there addressing some parts of the body, but this, I took everything apart and just put them all together. That's why I believe this program will help anyone who's any age. Doesn't matter what fitness levels you are. Even the studies sort of supports a lot of stuff that addresses FAI, the newer studies anyways. My approach that deals with this hip impingement deals with weak and tight muscles, and I also help address fire up the right way, and addresses even coordination, because there will be a lot of balancing involved, and it's very methodical, very systematic. So I'll be addressing your individual needs, whether it's if you're an athlete, or you're someone who's very stiff all the time, or something like maybe a woman who's very flexible. I'll be addressing all that stuff too. So and I'll see you in the next video. So in this video, I will be showing you the necessary equipment to overcome all things hip pain, whether it's tendinopathy, bursitis, chronic, and hip impingement. So the tools in front of me, the ones I used over the years. So this wasn't in one hit. So I don't want people to be like overwhelmed by, should I get everything in one hit? It would be nice if you had, your budget, foam roller, it's not the best. You wanted something decent but not too expensive. As the body adapts to it, maybe after a month. I still use it every now and then for certain parts of the body, but then as you continue on and adapt, you may want to use a kettlebell, but it's pretty painful in some areas. I use it mostly the calves, the groin. If you've got nothing else in the gym, go ahead and use it. Just don't get caught looking like a weird looking person, even though I'm guilty of it, but if you're not ashamed, yeah, go ahead and use it, it's pretty good stuff. A yoga block, you might want to use maybe a gym mat. This will be used in some of the exercises and help alleviate some stretches I will show in the exercise library. The band, resistance bands, pretty good. This helped me overcome a lot of my, like tendinopathies around my hips, like bursitis. And yeah, that took me a long time to overcome this stuff. I can see why a lot of women use this stuff. They get that peachy look. For the dudes, the same thing, You might get a big butt in the process, because it sort of really activate those the gluteal muscles there. So you can wrap it around your feet. This helped me overcome the pronation and sort of help draw the knee out. So when you have strong hips, your knees won't cave in, and will help alleviate all that pronation going on. So this is really good. This band, there's from a low level to a high level stuff. This is intermediate. You may want to start small. It can be very fatiguing for the hips. You got the little corona looking balls. The smaller they go, the more dense it is. You might want to use a tennis ball or a yoga ball if it's too tense for you. I use that little tiny one at my feet. You can use it in anything And you can use it behind the glutes, the hip flexors, this thing. This little jack, they call this a little jack knobber. I had to look into it why it's called a jack knobber. But it's like a little flying star. You can handheld this thing, do little self massages. It's pretty decent. You can put it up your clacker, which is your butt, your glutes. You can sit on it, lie on it. Another band you can use. I'll be demonstrating in the exercise category of the activation stretching part of the exercise library. A band will wrap around your leg and do some abduction work. And you got this trigger point cane, they call this thing. This is like my personal hip stick. I use it in between the groin, some parts of hamstrings. I brought this with me alongside when I was in the military. I helped a lot of dudes out, soften those hip flexors, because we do a lot of running, a lot of pack marching, all things hip flexion, as they call it, which is a lot of hip flexors involved, and this stuff is really good for that. Get in between there, get right into it, help alleviate a lot of those knots, and you don't realize that it just gets really tangled up in there. So it's good for that. Ankle weight, wrap around your ankles, do a lot of abduction work. This will really activate your hips. Most of the exercise would be standing up or lying on your side. You might want to get this one too. Let's start off with foam roller, these two balls, and possibly a back buddy or this to begin with. So you don't have to have all the things at once. So 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully that covers it. And hopefully, this is a long process, a long journey. And hopefully you will get better in the first month. And it took me a long time to go over this stuff. And this took me many years to accumulate all these instruments and tools. But hopefully you get right to it. Don't get intimidated. If you feel pain in certain areas, don't go over it. Don't go too intense. If you feel like you're having trouble, please hit me up. And hopefully I'll see you on the next video. So in this video, I'll be going through a quick run through of the hip muscles and its movements. You'll also be learning new vocab of the muscle groups, and we'll be mostly concentrating on the lower limb. Everyone is pretty familiar with the quadriceps, aka the quads. The big, large muscle group there, as you can see. So that's responsible for flexion, driving your leg up towards the chest. So you're lifting your leg up and lifting that leg up, the quadriceps will be involved, and the hip flexors towards your chest. So that's called flexion, hip flexion. And now the next muscle group, the glutes, the butt cheek muscles, everyone's favorite muscle group. So that's responsible for multiple actions. So abduction, pretend this is my leg, it goes out. And I'll get into adduction, comes in, your leg comes in like that, abduction. I'm just going over my notes. So it's also responsible for external rotation, which is driving your feet in. So adduction is external rotation and abduction, internal rotation. So we're just going a little bit, having a bit of a glimpse here. And the hamstrings, everyone knows what this is. The back part, which is responsible for knee flexion and hip hinge. So you're bending, it's responsible for pretty much bending over, and your knee flexion, which is also anything you do in life, bending over. Just don't do it too often in front of people. Hip extension as you come up, that's right. So hip extension comes up, and hip hinge. And the adductors, which is your groin muscles, very easy to get injured. It's responsible for pretty much everyday life. You're walking, running, going up the stairs. They're like the stabilizers. It's like the main culprits for hip impingements mostly. So you go, is responsible for stabilizing in wide stances. If we just pretend this is my legs and the groin's responsible for stabilizing the inner thighs. As you get stronger, you can do the side splits. The groin will help, having a stronger groin will help you get there. And then you got your internal, external rotation. That's where the glutes come in. Pretty much, I'll be demonstrating later on. That's driving your feet in, which is external rotation, and out. So it's like, it's pretty much saying adduction, which is internal rotation, external abduction. So yeah, just get your head around that as you start to learn the vocabulary of pretty much the anatomy, in the basic terms used in the physio world, the anatomy, the muscular system, So, quick run through, and hopefully this helps out. And this will help you know what types, what actions, what muscle groups to use, and so you have a better idea how to perform the exercises properly. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Perhaps this is the most important video in this entire course, simply because the workout booklet, it's the most vital tool you can use to track your workouts, where you're at, in-depth information addressing all your concerns, or most of the concerns. I mean, the booklet will address maybe half what's in the course, but it's more in-depth, more info, track your workouts. And this way, instead of flicking around, in the computer or laptop phone, you have the hard copy with you. It's roughly 20 pages. I also have a friendly reminder video, the same video, and the same downloadable content for those who miss out on, for whatever reason, on section 3. It will be part of the workout schedule, so it'll be like a really good reminder. And we'll talk about mostly the scenarios and routines you go through and pick out the best schedule for you. You can pick the first sample there if you want. For me, the beginners out there, maybe the first 2 weeks to a month. And then as you progress and you advance, as your body feels a lot better, you can pick what exercises is best for you, works out best for you. And this way, hopefully with consistency, it's quite rigorous, this program, because I want to get you up to speed. So this way you can move on to my athletes program afterwards. And this way I want people to feel a lot better as quick as possible, and hit me up if you've got any concerns whatsoever. And hopefully I'll get you over the line and you feel much better working alongside the booklet and the course. And as always, I wish you the very best.